This conference will now be recorded.
Perfect. Good evening. Thank you for those of you able to join us tonight for this vital discussion. We are here to address an issue that is impacting families and communities across the country, the dangers of fentanyl and its devastating effects, particularly on our teens. Our goal tonight is to equip you with the knowledge and tools to safeguard our kids. We'll cover what fentanyl is, why it poses such a serious threat, and most importantly, the steps we can take together to prevent this tragedy and protect our youth. Tonight, we are very fortunate to have Miss Sydney Stanley back with us from Recovery Council. She's a community outreach coordinator and brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to this discussion. So please join me in welcoming Miss Stanley as she guides us through this important conversation. So thank you so much, Miss Stanley, for being with us, and I will hand it over to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I'm so excited to be here. I hope everyone's doing well. And right now, we're just going to talk about some important facts about fentanyl and what you do know, what you don't know, and hopefully educate you a little bit more so then you know how to proceed if somebody you love or know needs help. So we'll get started. Um, and first, we're going to do an overview of what fentanyl is, how it affects the body, the brain, um, why teens are using it or why it's affecting teens. And it's not just teens, it's everyone. But teens seem to be a little bit more targeted because they're younger and they're a little bit more naive. And how can, as adults, parents, teachers, administrators, how can we help our kids to make better choices? And then we're also going to talk about a program that we have within our agency. It's called the Overdose Response Team. And then we're going to talk about something that can help um, stabilize the person if they are overdosing on fentanyl, something that's called Narcan. And then we'll have questions and answers. So here we go. We're going to dive in. And fentanyl is actually natural, and it is there's two types of fentanyl. There is a fentanyl that is pharmaceutical, that is prescribed from a doctor, and then the one that is illicit, that is found in the streets. The problems that we're having right now is the one that's found in the streets, the illicit drugs that are being made from different forms of chemicals, and those are the ones that we're having issues. Codeine, morphine is also something that derives from it. Then you have oxycodone and hydrocodone, and then you have fentanyl and methadone. These are all types of different medications that can help with pain, relieving symptoms from um, surgeries, from accidents, and so forth. But all these are prescribed, and you have to be under doctor's care. These are just different types of fentanyl and how it's prescribed. Uh, Fentanyl has been around for a long time. And the different methods that it can be prescribed is either by a needle injected if you're having some type of surgery that is going to require you to have uh, something that's stronger than oxy, cotton, or hydrocodone or codeine, then they give you fentanyl. I personally had a surgery on my hips and had my hip replaced. I was bone on bone. That's one of the things that the doctors did prescribe to me is fentanyl. But because I know that I come from an addictive personality family, I chose not to have it, and they gave me something less strong or not as potent as the fentanyl. But fentanyl can be addicting, just like codeine can, and other types of opiates. So we have the liquid kind. They also have pills. They also have patches. And here you have also a nasal that can be squirted in your nose, and it does have 200 milligrams. And then you have the swabs as well. But this is all based on depending on the type of surgery, the type of pain you're in, and all these are legal because they are prescribed from a medical doctor. The doctor has to prescribe these. These are all maintained with the DEA uh, because they want to make sure that if someone is prescribed this medication, that it's not duplicated in being given by 2 or 3 different doctors to the same person. So the DEA does control this. It's a controlled substance, and you have to have a doctor that is legally practicing in the state in order to get this prescribed to you. Now, the type of fentanyl that we are having issues with in the streets and kids are overdosing, adults are overdosing, is a non-prescription fentanyl. This is a mass produced in Mexico, China, and they're using different types of chemicals. They'll take all these chemicals, as you'll see, they'll take a cement mixer and they'll throw some fentanyl in there, but they'll also throw other chemicals, other things that will compound and form into a pill so they can sell it off the streets. These pills are turned into lookalikes, and they're not the actual medication that they're selling it as. They'll sell them as ADHD medication, Adderall. They'll sell it as Xanax, and they'll sell it as many different forms of medication that people think that they're purchasing that medication, and in reality, it's something that's been made to look like it, to mimic that, but it has fentanyl. And the problem with fentanyl, we'll see in a minute, is that just a tad fentanyl can affect you and can hurt you and put you into a coma. So this is what I was talking about. These are 2 different forms of medications that are being produced, mass produced. They have pill presses. It's a pill mill. They're using all sorts of chemicals. We don't know what kind of chemicals they're using. When they produce them, they use this pill press that makes it look just like the medications that people take. Xanax is one that's really popular. Oxycodone is one that's popular too. Um, Adderall, and so many other opiates that they're selling out there that makes you think that it's a legitimate pill, and when in reality you're not getting that pill. You're getting something else that's laced with different types of chemicals that we don't know what effects it might have on you. This image was taken in 2022 from somewhere in Colorado. And I'm sure the DEA, the feds probably confiscated this lab. Here are the cement mixers that I was talking about, and all the gallon containers that they'll mix medicine, pills, whatever they put, basically anything underneath the kitchen sink. And then they'll use this pill press machine to grind it all up, and then they create these pills that are fake. And if you take a look, you'll see the authentic oxycodone versus the fake oxycodone. And this is the issue that we're having is our youth, aren't sure what they're getting. They're getting something that they think it's real because their friend, sister's brother gave it to them, or a trusted adult. Well, it's not a trusted adult, a trusted person that they think is, giving them something. But in reality, that person that's selling these drugs, don't care. They're just wanting to make some money, and it's at our youth, our loved ones. You know, it's their lives that they're paying with. It's a risk that they're taking that can affect not only them, but their family members and so forth. So look at the fake pill. The fake pill looks perfect, and the authentic one doesn't look as perfect. So I know when I first started, I always got these confused because I thought, oh, it must be the one that's all, cracked up and doesn't look real, but it's the authentic one. And then the other one is the one that looks perfectly uh, put together, is the one that's fake. And the sad part is that when they mix all these chemicals together, we don't know how much fentanyl they're putting in them. If you can take a look at that pencil, the lid of that pencil, that's just small grams of fentanyl that it takes, and it's just a small dosage of fentanyl that it'll take for someone to overdose and die. 2 milligrams. 2 milligrams is like granules of salt, very little, and it's very lethal. And in a minute we'll talk about how Narcan can help somebody to bring them back and then give you enough time to call for medical attention. Since 2020, Texas has experienced over 120 increase in fentanyl-related deaths, and there's been 2,500 known opiate-related overdoses in Texas since 21. The average number of deaths per month has risen from 114 in 2019 to 209 in 2021. And these are just, my concern with these numbers, these are just the numbers that are being reported. I know for a fact that I've talked to several of my son's friends that are either PD or medical responders that go to, they're part of the fire department, and they are first ones at the scene. And a lot of times they'll use a Narcan to revive somebody. And some of these are not reported because the family members don't want to report these incidents. And sometimes they'll just say that, well, he died from a heart attack, at 35, which can be kind of, maybe if he had underlying issues, possibly, but sometimes, there's not enough truth coming out. I didn't mean to go forward. Okay, so then all opiate overdoses deaths among the ages of 0 to 17 in 2020, 92% involved in synthetic opiate. So in other words, 92% of the deaths in 2020 for the ages of 0 to 17 was because of opiate of fentanyl, because they put fentanyl in there. And like I said, this is not the legal fentanyl. This is the illegal fentanyl that's being made in the streets. Just like they used to make crack cocaine, just like they used to make meth. This is what they're doing. Drug dealers are getting smarter, and they're trying to mimic what the effect is, and just trying to get these students, family members, loved ones hooked so then they can make money. Since 2017, opiates have been involved in more than 52,000 unintentional overdoses. A lot of these times, the kids or the young adults are not intending to overdose. It's unintentional, but sometimes it happens. 42% of pills tested for fentanyl contained potentially lethal doses. So 42% of the pills that were tested had a lethal dose. 42%, that's a high number. Dallas, something that we should not be proud of. I'm in Dallas County. Some of you might be in Tarrant County, but Dallas and Tarrant County were the top 5 of the most opiate-related overdose in 2020. That is something not to be proud of, but that is alarming and shocking, and that's why we need to be, as parents, as adults, as loved ones, talk to our youth, talk to our family members, to explain to them that they're playing Russian roulette, and this can affect them, and this can be your one-time use, could be your last time. Okay, so you look at this picture on top. These are also counterfeit fentanyl pills, synthetic opiate pills. 2 types of fentanyl pills, like I said, pharmaceutical and illicit manufactured pills. Both are considered synthetic opiates. Pharmaceutical fentanyl is prescribed by doctors to treat severe pain, especially under surgery, as I said, or advanced stage cancer. But the ones on the top, they look colorful, they look like sweet tarts, they look like candy. This is how they entice kids sometimes to try these drugs. They make them think it's something, oh, it's not going to hurt you, it's just this. Kids go to a party, they go with a friend or a older sibling, and they go and they don't know what they're getting. And next thing you know, your child's on the floor, convulsing and passes out, and nobody has Narcan that can possibly help them. And, and they go into a coma and die. They're also making candy out of it. They're lacing candy because the whole bottom line for these drug dealers, they just want people to get hooked on it so they can make more money. And here, this was a seizure that the DEA was able to capture, and all these pills were within all these boxes and bags of candy. They were basically transporting them in candy boxes and these candy bags to try to get them to cross state lines or try to get them to parties or try to get them to have people sell them. So opiates in the brain and body. Well, normal activity in the brain, opiate receptors, is the one on the left. We all have natural endorphins, but the one on the right is by someone that uses a lot of opiate use. And you see how it's creating a lot of different clusters, a lot of different sensory, and it affects the brain. So it affects your brain, affects the frontal lobe, it affects your decision making, and it also affects your body. Because this is not a natural amount of opiates that you're supposed to be consuming, and that's when it comes an issue. And then you mix it in with making illicit drugs, using, you know, um, not even over the counter meds, but just, made up medications and stuff, and mixing the actual formula into enhancing the formula so it could be more addicting. So then the drug dealer can make sure that he has permanent customers. And that's what affects the brain. So the decision making skills go out the window. I'm hoping we can see this video.
Is there supposed to be sound, Miss Stanley?
Uh-huh.
I don't. The sound on the video isn't coming through.
Okay, hold on. Let me. Can you put it on? Can you fix it on your end or
I wonder if it's because you have the headphones in.
like that? Possibly. You want me to try it?
Now play, yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
can you hear it?
Yes.
Not only is Susan in pain, but the depression and anxiety come back. On top of that, Susan feels ravaged by an inescapable physical sickness far worse than any flu. Susan's body is going through withdrawal. Most people who take opioids for a long time tend to experience some withdrawal, but they can still stop taking the pills and return to normal. But for people like Susan, it's not so easy. Her genetics and the environment she grew up in put her at a higher risk for addiction. Her withdrawal symptoms aren't just unpleasant, they're unbearable. Susan thinks the only way to feel normal is to find more opioids. And this is how the cycle of opioid addiction emerges, driven by a brain trying to regain its balance. But there is hope for Susan. Though the road to recovery can be challenging and there may be setbacks, treatments can retrain Susan's brain. With the help of medication and therapy, Susan finds pleasure in her life once again.
Okay, so here is what does addiction really mean? Basically, it's talking about the low risk use and then the tolerance, when she continues to use this, which that's one of the reasons that I chose not to take the fentanyl, even though I was in severe pain, because I knew that my addictive personality would probably like it and I didn't want to get addicted to it. So and once you start taking something, you build a tolerance and you want more because you want that satisfaction and so forth. And then you become into dependence, excuse me. Then you start depending on it and then you need it and you want it and you'll do whatever you have to do in order to get it. And then it becomes to the addiction cycle, which patterns, which can persist, can be long-term effects of addiction that if you don't get help, it could take a long time for you to recover. So, but there's always ways that you can quit and help. So that's something that you can check with your counselors if you know anybody that has any addictive, an addiction that they're struggling with. They can give you help with that. Okay, fentanyl in teens. Why do kids misuse RX drugs, prescription drugs? Why? Well, they self-medicate. They want to escape, experimenting, performance improvement, acceptance and peer pressure, misinformation, low perception of harm. And this is the issue. Self-medication, a lot of teens struggle with image, with fitting in, with trying to be part of a group. So they try to, or maybe they're struggling at home with family issues, or maybe they're losing a parent or a grandparent, somebody in their life. So they start self-medicating and taking something, a good friend says, here, Cindy, take this. It'll make you feel better. You won't feel anything. You'll stop being sad, and no, that's not going to help any because that's going to relieve the pain for that moment, but you're still going to be in the same situation you were. So the best thing instead of self-medicating, be sure to talk to your youth, to your teens, to your loved ones to see what's going on. When you see a change in behavior, moods, withdrawal, just lack of motivation, there's something going on. Experiment. Everybody's doing it. Why can't I? You know, um, Everybody experiments. Peer pressure is one of the things that we have to make sure that our teens are aware of and how to deal with peer pressure. Some role playing beforehand. You may want to do that with your youth, your kids, to say, hey, if you ever go to a party in this situation, what would you do? And then let them answer it. And then if it's not what you think they should do, then maybe you come up together with a plan. Code word, mom. If I get into a situation I don't want to be there, then I'm going to say, what? Grandma's sick? Okay, I'm coming home, or something like that. So then you can have a way out so they don't feel like, their friends are going to make fun of them. They're not going to fit in. But if you have a way to leave the situation that puts them at ease and feel a little bit better. Performance, yes, Adderall is one of the number one things that a lot of college kids take because they're testing their exams. They want to do well. They want to stay up all night long. They want to party all day and party all night and stay up all night so they can take that exam the next day. So Adderall is pretty popular. Any ADD, ADHD medication is pretty popular with high school and college kids. Acceptance, peer pressure, as I said, misinformation. Well, I'm only going to take one. It's not going to affect me. I'm not going to get addicted. And you start with one once a month, and then you say, hey, I didn't feel so bad. Let me take another one. Oh my, I'm so tired from school. I just need to relax. And the next thing you know, you're not taking one a month. You're taking one a week. Next thing you know, and you're not getting it from a prescription from the doctor. You're getting it from your friend's friend or whoever, someone out in the street. Low perception of harm, because it's a medication, because it's prescribed, even over-the-counter medications that can be misused. And if you take more medication for, what's an example? When you have cough or cold, if you take more than intended in the prescription directions, it says how much to take. If you exceed that limit, then that means that you're overtaking and you are potentially gonna you can overdose. So you're mistaking the amounts that are prescribed, so that becomes abuse as well. Overdose deaths, overdose deaths ages 0 to 24 in Texas have increased from 2010 200 to 2020. It's gone up to almost 320. So that's just from opiate use, legal, illegal, just all opiates. And a lot of times, our teens under 21 or under 18, I guess, I'm not sure if 19, if you can get a prescription, but over a certain age until you become legal. So let's say 18 to 21, then the only way for them to get a prescription such as that's legal is through a parent. So if they're not getting it through parents, then they're getting it through someone else illegally. One-stop shop. The danger is everywhere, not confined to somewhere else. Abusing social media to expand their reach and target new clients. These are all things that they're doing in order for them to reach their targeted population, which is youth. No code words and emojis are used to market and sell drugs. In 2021, DEA investigated more than 80 cases involving drug trafficking on internet and phone apps. And this is something that I really want to encourage you as parents and caretakers that you check their phones, check your youth phones, because there's certain apps out there, and you can probably go to Verizon, AT&T, whoever your cell phone provider is. They have a list of apps that are out there that they use as dummy apps that they can hide things that they don't want their parents to know. There's actually, I've been to several trainings, and there's a police officer, Jeremiah Galloway. He's called the Tall Cop, and he actually talked to us about a calculator that looks like a little calculator that's in your teen's phone. And then when you do a certain code that the student knows, you open it up and there's things that are hidden. Places they meet up to get drugs, places that they can, get in for free or get in and not be carded, alcohol establishments, and just things that they don't want parents to know. And there's also lingo. There's also verbiage. You can also look this up, Google it, or go to the DEA website. They have drug terms that they use for code words to, if they're asking for oxy, if they're asking for perks and stuff and so forth. There's different words and there's different emojis as well. So this is all information that is extremely important for you to know, because if you don't know this, how are you going to protect our youth? How are you going to protect yourself? As a parent myself, I wanted my kids to grow up and be self-sufficient and relying on themselves and enjoy life, you know. But I worried as a parent because I didn't know who their friends were. Knowing who their friends are, even if you do, doesn't mean that it's, you know, that it's going to solve everything, but at least it protects them. We need to protect our youth. We need to know who and what they're doing, where they're going, and what they're doing. And they just need to know the facts. You know, I unfortunately, once they're 21, they're able to do whatever they want. But that's something that you as a parent needs to set a boundary that if you continue to go down this path, then the lack of support I can give you is whatever you and the child decide it could be. 2021 DA investigated more than, like I said, 80 cases of all drug trafficking through the internet and phone apps. And I think that's a low number because I really think there's a lot more. Um, dark, the dark web is just amazing that there are so many things that they can hide out there that we don't even know half what's out there. But they do a good job. Hackers and people that are shady like to be able to sell their products, and they have a lot of oh, not necessarily websites, but they go chat sites. There's a lot of chat sites that they go and they have code words there as well. That's been one of the things that has been also a big issue. The big campaign, one pill can kill, and that's true because one pill can kill. First time users, uh, more, you know, and users that, you know, that have never used to people that use on a daily. You need to start the conversation. You need to talk to them. You need to create a safe space, a safe, like I said, keywords. Follow your instincts. Follow your instincts. If you know something doesn't seem right, isn't right, it probably isn't right. You know, but the attacking and talking to your kids, um, you know, you can't be harsh because they'll shut down. So you got to be able to, you know, you can't start the conversation when they're 15 if you didn't have a conversation with them when they're younger. You just need to develop that relationship. And remember, you're the parent. You're not the friend. You're not the girlfriend. You know, you're not the fun dad. Well, you're the fun dad, fun mom, but you have to be a parent first instead of a friend. Um, I know there was an incident in Creekview, which is in Carrollton, Farmers Branch area. There were four friends, and they decided to skip school. They picked up a couple of pills, there and there are probably perks or something else. Well, they all took it. No, they took one pill. They divided it up into four. They divided it up into four, and out of the four, it was laced with fentanyl. One had a more fentanyl than the average person should take. The others had a little bit. One person overdied and died. One person overdosed and died. The other person overdosed, hospitalized. The other two people, the other person overdosed and was able to be brought back with a Narcan, and then the other person wasn't affected as well. So that's four people taking one pill, you know, and they didn't know what they were doing. Well, because of that incident, now legislature has passed laws that if you are linked, if I'm a seller and I'm linked to me selling something to some kids and somebody dies, I can be held liable and I can go to prison um, for the crime of killing someone, providing them with illegal drugs, and manufacturing and producing and so forth. So there's a lot of consequences, and those are the consequences our students need to hear and know about. When asked who they would go if they had a drug or alcohol problem and needed help, 80% of students indicated that they would not seek help because they don't want to feel like they're not able to take care of the problem themselves. They're embarrassed, they're ashamed, the consequences mom and dad are going to do, you know, but you know, 82% aren't going to seek help. 68% are going to ask their parents. 65% said they'd ask their friends, medical doctors. The thing is that a lot of times they rely on their friends, and the students want to seek help, but they don't know who to go to. So they believe that their friends, okay, so you're feeling kind of edgy right now. Here, take this and it'll make you feel better. Well, why? I already feel edgy and I just took something, but this will make you feel better. So sometimes our students, our youth are not able to make wise decisions. Um, a adolescent's brain does not fully develop till they're 25. And if you start early at a young age with using drugs, any type of illicit drugs, alcohol, weed, cigarettes, um, over-the-counter pills, excessively taking them, then it affects your decision-making skills and affects your brain growth. This is what I was telling you about. We have an overdose response team, and basically what they do is they ride with paramedics that are certified and and certified prevention specialists, licensed social workers, and they follow up after someone is overdosed 24 to 72 hours. And basically, they're not judging them. They're going up to help them to that person that overdosed to help them to see if they need further assistance, maybe to get into a rehab center, maybe to get medication so they can try to gradually stop taking that. It's basically harm reduction. So this is Narcan, and this video is not working. Okay, so Narcan, let me see, there's another. Uh, okay. Narcan is, and I don't have any uh, with me right now, but Narcan is a little valve that is in a spray bottle, and you what you do is you take and spray the right nostril and the left nostril. If you find somebody that's unresponsive, not moving, not talking to you, and if you have some Narcan, I know the schools, nurses, and some other people, medical staff, we carry it because you never know when you're going to come across somebody that's overdosed. And as long as it's an opiate, then putting one squirt in each nostril will bring that person back. So then you can call medical attention and have someone come and respond and come to him or them and try to get him help. The Narcan's not going to save them. It's going to prevent them from, it's going to help them to become coherent and then try to get someone else to paramedics to come and take them to the hospital. So, yeah. So, this is just a team was absolutely amazing from the day. This is somebody that was a success story. I guess they overdosed. They wanted help, and they, basically our team offered support. They connected them with some treatment facilities. They took them, they helped them, they did all the process. They referred them to AA, NA, and and they made them a priority. Sometimes people use drugs because they have self-esteem issues, low, no connection with family, no help. So sometimes they just need somebody to listen to them, to hear them, and to know that they're there. The rise in fentanyl reports from forensic labs across the United States, and this is from 2014 to 2019. These numbers are really extremely high. Uh, the Federal Drug Administration and DEA confiscate meds a lot. And what they do is they have to try to investigate uh, these people that are manufacturing, distributing, and then try to bust them before they distribute and cause further damage and death to others. So it's a long process. So when they do these arrests, they're hoping that they can take as much drugs off the street so we don't have more incidents of fentanyl overdoses and deaths. Here's some questions, where can I get Narcan? Well, you can get it. It's not prescribed. You can get it over the counter. You can get it without a prescription from a doctor. I think you can purchase it at the drugstore. Can Narcan be used on children? Yes. It's safe for children. Will Narcan work if they are not breathing? Yes. No inhalation is necessary for absorption. You just spray the nostrils. You don't have to give them any deep breaths or anything, as long as it's an opiate overdose. It'll basically the opiate overwhelms the brain and body impulses to help it to breathe, because the same thing, it stopped it from breathing. Can Narcan be misused or used to get high? No, it's naloxone. It has no elements of potential abuse or overdose. And if the person is not been affected by an opiate overdose, then it's not going to affect them. And because you're using this, there's something called the Good Samaritan law. And because you're using this Narcan to try to save somebody's life, if something happens, you will not be held liable. You're protected from the Good Samaritan law. Okay. So this is everything. I don't have anything else. If you have any questions, please let me know. Our information is not here, but my information, Miss Evans, um, and the other staff have our information, so we can help you out if you need any referrals or need any additional information. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you so much, Miss Stanley. We really appreciate you joining us again. And thank you for those tuning in. All the campus counselors, are a resource as well. And we have Narcan on all of our campuses. And we are here to provide any support or answer any questions that you might have. And we look forward to seeing you at our next Parent U. Thank you all and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you.